Hi, or welcome to our series on Ephesians. Together we're going to explore this letter to the church in Ephesus and the area surrounding it. And we're going to do that in 7 sessions. First of all, with today's introduction session, and then 6 sessions, one for each chapter of the Bible, following on from that. And as a life group, you may do that in 7 weeks straight, or you may split it so that it falls more in line with your rhythm. But whatever way that you tackle it as a group, I just want to encourage you to really seek to familiarize yourself with the letter. As we go, of course, in your life group, you're going to read the relevant chapter for the relevant weeks. But I want to encourage you as well to maybe take some time to reread over those chapters, both maybe before a session or after a session. But also, if you get the opportunity throughout these 7 sessions, to take some time individually to read the book to Ephesians. It's only the 6 chapters. And doing it in that way would have been how the first hearers received the letter, read in its entirety. And it gives you an opportunity to really pick up on the themes and notice some of the recurring phrases and ideas that Paul uses. So I'd encourage you to do that. One of the other resources that I want to encourage you to use, and hopefully your life groups might be using this evening or sharing this at some point, is the summary of Ephesians by the Bible Project. The Bible Project is an online resource where they're available on YouTube, where these guys put a summary to different themes of the Bible, but also give an oversight of each book of the Bible as well. And they do so with some really great graphics that just gives you this really great overview of what's happening with each book of the Bible. And there's one of those for the book of Ephesians. Ephesians was a letter written by Paul when he was in Rome. In fact, it's one of the first of what is known as the prison epistles. That is a letter written by Paul while he was in prison, along with the letters like Philippians, Colossians, and the letter to Philemon. Paul had a great love for the church and the people of Ephesus. We can see this in the letter, but we could also read about this in the book of Acts. And this will be part of the introduction session today, looking at when Paul was in Ephesus and his relationship with the church there. The letter to Ephesians is one of the only letters written not in response to a crisis. Many of the letters are responding to maybe a heresy or a church issue or a structural issue that Paul writes and addresses. But the letter to Ephesians is just a letter of love and adoration and encouragement to the people of Ephesus and the surrounding area. Part of today's session will be to trace Paul's relationship with the Church of Ephesus through the book of Acts. And there are some amazing things that happen in the city as a result of Paul and others' ministries. And as a result, we're told that Paul remains there for 2 years. This is the longest that we're told Paul stays anywhere in the book of Acts. One of the interesting things to note in the narrative of Paul visiting Ephesus is that Paul was actually initially restricted from visiting Ephesus. He had a desire to go there and to visit the churches of Asia Minor, but God in a dream spoke to him and told him to go to Macedonia. And so Paul instead travels to Macedonia and to Europe and spends some time there and then returns through Asia Minor. And it's then that we read about his time in Ephesus. Reading the events of Acts 18 to 20 will help you gain a picture of what the culture was like in Ephesus at the time. Therefore, a greater insight into the things that Paul says in the letter. This letter, which was likely written to the Christians in the south central part of Asia, of which Ephesus was a part, the main part, the centre of that. It serves as an encouragement to the church in Ephesus and beyond, to remind them of their new identity in Christ and to encourage them to confidently seek to live that identity out. Ephesus and the surrounding area was a highly spiritualized world with other gods which permeated every aspect of culture. With these other gods and their followers central to the culture, it would have been easy for the Christians who, to start with, were excited about this new thing that was taking place in their life with Christ. It would be easy for them to grow discouraged and perhaps to start to think that the devil was claiming back ground. But Paul is keen to emphasize to them that the God of the cosmos is still in charge and that he has a plan from the beginning of time until the end of time for his people and for the world of which they are a part. Dr. Alan Stringfellow splits the letter into 2, describing chapters 1 to 3 as doctrinal, addressing our heavenly calling, and chapters 4 to 6 as practical, our earthly conduct. Paul is keen in the first 3 chapters to highlight what God is doing and what God has done and will continue to do for us and what that means about our identity freely given to us. And then in response to that, Paul then encourages us to live out our life in light of this identity, in light of what God has done for us. In essence, Paul wants them to know who they are so that they can know how to live in light of that reality. In a world where people continue to explore who they are, and identity politics has become such a popular term, the letter to the Ephesians continues to have striking truths and livable application for us today. Paul encourages the church in Ephesus that through Christ, God has blessed us and is now calling us to be his people, to live out who we were created to be. The one who will bring unity to everything under heaven, in heaven and earth under Christ, wants to reveal the mystery of this world to us. And my prayer, like Paul's, is that as we explore this letter together, more of that mystery will be unraveled. The eyes of our hearts will be enlightened, and we will know the glorious inheritance that is available to us, his incomparably great power for us who believe. Hope you have a great time discussing. There's some questions in your group now that you can go through, as well as some passages for you to look at in Acts and Ephesians to just start to wrestle with some of the themes and ideas in this letter. Hope you enjoy. See you next time.